Hello everyone and welcome back to the Oxford Vapers YouTube channel. I'm Taylor and today we're going to be going through the pros and cons of disposable vaping. So I'm going to introduce the owner of Oxford Vapers, Dan, to give you some more information.
So the average disposable vaping device in the UK is the equivalent roughly to say 20-30 cigarettes, ignoring nicotine, so just referring to volume. And the average bar will cost you about £6 in the UK. Depends on where you go to. I know personally I'm from Bournemouth and certain stores are charging say £7-8 a bar, which is pretty expensive versus the conventional vaping products that most vaping specialist stores will offer, and websites obviously. A refillable and replaceable coil vaping products, so your more traditional ones, although they may cost you say £18 to £30 for your first kit, once you've got that, you're replacing e-liquid. So, an average disposable vaping product in the UK that is legal, legitimate, and we'll touch on that later, you're looking at 2 millilitres of e-liquid in that device, which is the maximum capacity for any tank or vessel that holds e-liquid in a vaping product for TPD European law. Now, a 10 millilitre bottle of e-liquid will vary in cost between £1 and £5. So you've got 5 times the amount of e-liquid there. Now, it doesn't take a maths wizard that within say 3, 4, 5, 10 mils, you made your money back on what the initial starter kit cost you. Way more cost effective. Since the increase in demand of disposable vaping products, there's been a lot of confusion for people that haven't been vaping previously and have never really been exposed to what nicotine strengths mean. In the e-liquid world, so pre-disposables, you would normally see the nicotine strength referred to as milligrams. For example, 0, 3, 6, 12 and 18 milligrams are the most common strengths for free-base nicotine. With these disposable bars, and since the sort of birth of them, they tend to put a percentage figure on the bar. For example, 1% or 2%. What this means is 1% of the total e-liquid solution is the equivalent to 10 milligrams in nicotine. Whereas if you have a 2% bar, which is the most common strength on the market, legal, again, not illegal strengths that are available wrongly, these 2% bars are 20 milligrams of nicotine. So that is the legal maximum for the European market under TPD law. Thankfully, since the spawn and the sort of big boom of disposable vaping products, people are now being made aware of the environmental damage that these things are causing. Now, I'm not trying to sort of poo-poo these products because they have a place in the market, but the way to look at it is your average vaping device, so pre-disposables, ones that are rechargeable and refillable, the average amount of charges you can get through manufacturer's guidance is approximately 300 charge cycles. Now, every time you buy a disposable vape, there's a little tiny battery in there. Producing batteries is bad for the environment. Binning them is just as bad again. So if you can't recharge these things and reuse them, they go into landfill, they can't be recycled, and they are non-biodegradable. This is a big problem. There are some manufacturers on the market that have now looked at ways of producing carbon neutral or carbon negative disposable vaping products. These are much better for the environment than your traditional disposable vapes, but nonetheless you're still producing a battery all the time, and we have to make sure they're getting recycled. It's the batteries that are going to cause the biggest environmental impact, so global warming, etc. Again, with the sort of boom of these disposable vaping devices, There's an absolute plethora of brands available, and some of these brands offer up to 30 different flavours. Now, this may seem amazing to anybody that's not been exposed to the sort of the world of vaping before, but in the UK alone, there are well over 2,000 flavours that you can buy in an e-liquid bottle. So in terms of freedom of choice, you're quite restricted when it comes to disposable systems, which is not necessarily the end of the world. Those 30 flavours have been produced by the disposable vape manufacturers based off, I assume, what are the most popular flavours in the world as a sort of general rule of thumb. Now, what this means is though, you are not able to access some of the more independent or small brands of e-liquid vapable products, and you may be missing out on a flavour that would actually suit you better. So it's quite restrictive in the grand scheme of things, and also with a disposable, once you start using it, you're stuck with that flavour. So the only way of experiencing different tastes is risking £6 every time, as an average again for the disposable or cost of disposables in this market. A lot of people have been coming into our store in particular and communicating through different social media platforms about 5% bars or 1,500 puff bars. Now, there's a few things to be considerate of here, or to be wary of more so. Now, the reason why the average disposable vape on the market says 550 or 600 puffs is because that's how long the battery will last and how long a 2 milliliter vessel of e-liquid should last based on sort of Ohm's law, so how much power you're putting through, therefore how much vape is going to be produced. If you see anywhere selling a bar that says 1,500 puff, 2,000 puffs, first and foremost it should say up to, so you may not be getting that even if the product does have a bigger battery and a bigger tank inside it. A lot of these systems have actually got small batteries, the same casing and 2 milliliter pods, so it could just be completely missold and misinformed in terms of what that product contains. However, when you do find a legitimate one, they are illegal. So as I mentioned earlier, 2 milliliters is the maximum tank capacity for any vaping product, be it disposable or a refillable and replaceable coil device. So the 1,500 puff thing, if they did have a 2 milliliter tank, you would never get 1,500 puffs out of it. So that's wrong. And if you do get 1,500 puffs, you're probably taking very, very small drags. You're not using the system as you would do a cigarette, which is what these things have been built on. So please, if you can, steer clear of any of these 1,500 puff bars. Myself as a director of the UK VIA and us as an association, we are looking to put a stop to these illegal products being available on the market for multiple reasons. First of all, it ruins the playing field for businesses that are trying to do the right thing and give assistance to smokers and guidance and education to give them the best opportunity of moving away from traditional tobacco products. But also, these products probably aren't tested. So if you can access a 1,500 puff bar or a 5% 50 milligram nicotine product, odds of that being tested to the European legal standards and submitted on what's called the MHRA portal, it just won't be. It's not possible. So you don't even know what you're consuming. So it's always best to buy legitimate registered products. These products are going to have a code called an ECID. Doesn't mean much to you and doesn't need to mean much to you, but you can always cross-reference the ECID that will be on the packaging of a product on the MHRA portal. So I do recommend you check that if you're not sure. Some of the key brands that have been established now in the disposable space, such as Geek Bar, Elf Bar, these bars and some of the other ones like IVG and Dinner Lady, these brands have gone to the effort to test their products and get them registered. Not all of them. So again, please be aware, do check on the MHRA portal or ask your local stockist if they are legitimate. A lot of your local stockists won't know, but they can check for you. So clearly you can see by the way I communicate this, and a lot of my friends will vouch for this, I have a primarily negative attitude towards disposable products, vaping products in particular. Now, although I do have that attitude towards them, there is definitely a place for disposable vaping devices in the UK. Prime example of this, certain individuals that want pure convenience to get that switch. If I started offering them a device where you have to change coils, recharge, refill, don't let the juice run too low, for some people they're not going to bother making that switch away from combustible tobacco products, and they're just going to keep smoking. So at least with a disposable bar which you just open out the packet, puff, no buttons need to be pressed, away you go. They're a brilliant entry point for smokers, and especially those that either have got disabilities or poor mobility with their hands. These sort of things can stop you being able to use a traditional vaping product. However, these disposables are very good for that, and therefore I think they deserve to be in the marketplace, but they shouldn't be used as a long-term vaping solution due to all the reasons that have been mentioned in the points earlier in this video. It's just not cost effective. It's very, very hard to know whether you're buying something that's legitimate and tested, and also it's just really bad for the planet. So why choose that method long term when you can get something that's better for you, more cost effective and better for the environment? That's my attitude, but disposable vapes have a place here and they shouldn't go anywhere.